Hi everyone, Jon Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Today we are here with Dave Roe. Dave, how you doing?
Hey,
Dave is a bit of a legend, played with Johnny Cash and several others, and we will get to that, but I want to start from the beginning because I'm very intrigued about you and your career. So why don't we start with you telling us about your musical upbringing? You're from Hawaii, aren't you?
Yeah, I grew up in a little town about 40 miles outside of Honolulu on the west side of Oahu out there. Just played all kinds of different stuff, mostly started with late 60s pop music and then moved into a lot of country rock stuff, Neil Young and things like that. And then I started studying more and started getting into funk bands like Tower Power style bands. Played the dance funk circuit in Honolulu for years.
On the bass, right?
On the bass, on electric bass, and then went downtown, started playing in jazz trios in the later part of the 70s, and then moved to Nashville in 1980.
How did you become a bass player in the first place with all the instruments to choose from?
Well, I was actually a drummer first, and I played drums in all the high school bands and orchestras and things like that. But there were no bass players around in my neighborhood, and there was a ton of drummers. I don't know what happened. I just ended up playing bass. It's funny.
And when did you take up the upright bass? Was that not until you got to Nashville?
It was way after I was in my 40s, actually. I got the call to play with Johnny Cash, and I didn't play upright at all, but it was an upright bass gig, and I learned on the job, and I had to learn how to play not only upright bass, but I had to learn how to play rockabilly style slap bass. One thing led to another, and that's kind of what I do now.
How does one just happen to get the call to take the gig with Johnny Cash?
A friend of mine was his publicist, and the gig opened up, and he just decided that he wanted somebody new in the band, and he just recommended me for it. And it was a shock to me to find out that it was an upright gig because I did not play upright at all. So I learned on the gig. I literally learned on the gig how to play upright bass.
Well, tell me, you were with him a long time, right? It was over 10 years, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was his last bass player from 1992 until his death.
Well, tell me about that gig. Tell me about Johnny Cash. What was that like? I'm sure our viewers would be very interested.
Well, he was absolutely the nicest person I ever met in my life. I never ever met anybody before or since quite like him. He was really an incredible guy. And of course, I was the baby in the band. Everybody was like 20 years older than me. It was just really a cool learning experience and just great music to play. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I know that, as you just mentioned, the guys were a bit older than you, but I wanted to ask you about the movie Walk the Line. From what you know about those earlier days, how much did they get it right or not get it right? Was the movie pretty much the way it was, or not so much?
Well, I can just tell you what they said about it. They said it kind of captured the spirit of the thing. It was definitely a Hollywood kind of movie, but it sort of captured it as well.
Okay. How about you right now? What's keeping you busy these days?
Well, I came off the road, seriously off the road in 2005. I went from Johnny Cash's gig to Dwight Yoakam. I played there for 4 or 5 years, and I left, and I'm mostly just doing sessions and playing around town in a couple of little bands that I'm interested in. And I've just built a studio like everybody else in Nashville has, and my friend Kenny Vaughn, who's one of the great roots rock guitar players in town, plays with Marty Stewart. We have a band where we have a production company started, and we're really getting into that.
What kind of equipment are you using? I know you're big on Warwick.
Oh, as far as bass gear?
Yeah.
I'm like everybody, I have the usual collection of older vintage American basses and things like that. But I've been a Warwick guy for 4 or 5 years, and I'm using them. In particular, I'm using the Warwick Star, the hollow body bass, which I'm absolutely crazy about. I love that bass. I use it just about everything.
What do you love about it?
It just sounds good. I'm a short scale nut. I got a short scale version of that. And the fundamental on that bass, the bottom end of that bass is just fantastic. I love it.
How about the rest of your gear?
I've been using Warwick amps since I've been with them, and I have a couple of older amps that I use for different things, but I'm mostly playing the Warwick stuff out, and I play upright bass. I play Blasco upright basses live. That's the follow-up to the old King rockabilly basses. They have a new company, and I play that bass. I love that bass.
How about the future? What else would you like to do that you haven't already accomplished?
Oh, I'd like to be a 19-year-old rock star. That's not going to happen. No, I just want to. I'm lucky. I still work every day mostly, and I'm really lucky to be here and still happen. And I'm really blessed. And I thank God for all that. I mean, they're still calling me, and I'm just hoping I can age gracefully out of this thing and do something cool. You know.
Last question, Dave. What would you be if you were not a bass player? Something outside of music.
Well, I had every intention when I was about 18 or 19 to be a history teacher, and I'm still a history fanatic. I love it, study it, and read about it all the time. And just got sidetracked playing music. You know.
You have a favorite period or a favorite part of the world?
I love the early American history. I love the Revolutionary War stuff and the Founding Fathers stuff. I really am a big fan of.
So you've read David McCullough's books?
Yes, I have read two of them. I like them.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we open it up for a follow-up interview down the road. But in the meantime, Dave Roe, great catching up with you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I'm Jon Liebman. You're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com.
Well, my daddy left home when I was 3, and he didn't leave much to Ma and me. Just this old guitar and an empty bottle of booze.